Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Uh, Unfortunately, Frank is unable to join us, so you're stuck with me for the next hour. This is a show we get you caught up to speed with the Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and Red Sox. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and everybody was safe, and everybody got stuff like I did and enjoyed themselves. So without further ado, we'll get started. Let me see if I can post a link here so you guys can join the show. Um, we're going to start with the Bruins as they have fallen out of first place. They were in first place when we last were here, and they're not in first place anymore. They dropped down, and they've been having some struggles. And so we're gonna get into that in a half a second. I need 1 second to do this here. Let's see. Okay, I think we're good. All right, let's get started. Okay, so the Bruins had a rough week. They lost 4 out of 7 games, and they got a ton of injuries. The injury bug is catching them, and as I have been mentioning, uh, the condensed schedule is taking a toll on them and other teams too. They're not the only team that's dealing with this. So they just lost. Give me half a second here, because they lost a couple more defensemen. So they had McAvoy got hit in the puck, hit in the face with the puck. So he's out indefinitely. They're talking about Olympics return in February. They had Jordan Harris. A young guy. He's out. I forget what happened to him. They lost Henry Yokoharu a few games ago, and they had Michael Callahan. He's out too, and so they just called up Victor Soderstrom from Providence, and he is the 10th defenseman that they've had to dress this season. So they have their work cut out for them back there. So their week last week, they over the last couple weeks, they had a trip out west. They played the Kings. They lost 2-1. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They beat the Kings 2-1. Morgan Geekie, who is absolutely on fire, scored both goals. He got the game winner in overtime. Jeremy Swimmer was sharp in that game. He stopped 31 of 32 shots. Really good win for them. Again, I'm going to keep hopping on this because it's the way the team is built. These are the kind of games that they need to win: 2-1, 3-2, et cetera, et cetera. So, LA is pretty good. I think they were in second place in their division. So it's not like they beat a tomato can there. So solid win. Next game they played San Jose. They lost 3-1. San Jose, much improved. The Bruins, they got within a goal 2-1. They fell behind 2-0. They got a goal with 10 minutes left in the third. They had 35 shots on goal, but San Jose is much improved this year. They're not pushovers. They're not last place like they were last year. They are rebuilding. They have the kid they drafted last year, Macklin Celebrini, one of the top up-and-coming stars of the league, along with Connor Bedard from Chicago. Last year, he had 63 points as a rookie in 70 games. This year, he's already got 40 points in 28 games. He's on pace for 117 points. He's damn good. So, the Bruins had their hands full with him and the Sharks. and they couldn't get over the hump. The goalie played well for them too. Stood on his head, stole the game for them. Then they beat the Islanders 3-1. I didn't think they were going to win this game because they already beat the Islanders twice. I thought the Islanders would be out for revenge, and the Bruins took it to them. Alex Steves, 2 goals, recently called up from Providence due to the injuries up front. Again, the injuries they've had. Casey Middlestat was out for a week or so. Elias Lindholm was out for a couple weeks. Arvidsson was out for a week or two. And so they call up Steves, and he gets 2 goals. Again, Swayman stood on his head in that game and stole the game, like literally stole this game. The Bruins were outshot in that game 44-14. They had no business winning this game. So, I got to give them credit for pulling it off. The Islanders have to be beside themselves. I mean, I think it was 2-1. They got an empty netter, but they don't. Listen, that's a much needed win for the Bruins after losing to San Jose. And Jeremy Swayman has, for the most part, looked pretty damn good this year. He looks like an $8 million goalie instead of $8 goalie, as I hopped on him last year. So, good solid win for them. Unfortunately, day after Thanksgiving, Bruins play Friday afternoon, 1:00. I think they were in a turkey coma. They couldn't do anything. They lost 6-2. It really wasn't close. I watched some of that game. I had to shut it off after they fell behind 4-0, and I got disgusted. So I didn't watch the rest of it. But they weren't ready to play, and it just looked like they couldn't do anything. They gave up 2 power play goals in the second period, fell behind 4-0. It looks like in the third period they tried to make a comeback. In the first 6 minutes of the third, they scored 2 goals within 2 minutes of each other. But then they gave up an empty net goal with like 3.5 minutes left, and that was the end of that. And the Rangers, they're desperate because they haven't started off on the right foot. I think, boy, they're either in last place or second to last. They fired their coach and they hired Mike Sullivan, and I know that there's been a lot of roster shuffling with them. Chris Drury, the GM, he's remaking that team, and they came in ready to play. And the Bruins never play well day after Thanksgiving in those matinee games. Very rare. For some reason, the afternoon games after Thanksgiving don't bode well for them, even though they're home too. They didn't even have to travel. The Rangers had to travel. So, I don't know. They got to get these ugly games out of their system somehow. But again, I blame the condensed schedule. The next night they're playing at home against Detroit. They beat Detroit 3-2 in the shootout. Morgan Geekie again, 2 more goals. I want to say he's second overall in goals with 20, 22 maybe, 21, something like that. He's killing it. And I have to give I got a lot of grief from my brother Sergeant Slaughter for Morgan Geekie because I dogged him last year, and now all of a sudden he's in the top of the league in scoring, and now he wants his flowers. So listen, I'll give you your flowers. Geekie's been damn good, and they need him without Pastrnak got hurt. Either in this game or the game before, I forget now. But, now you don't have your best playmaker, and Geeky just continues to light the lamp, and so that's a good thing. But that game, that was a good, hard-fought game. There was a lot of up and down, a lot of heavy hitting, tight checking, had kind of a playoff atmosphere to it. Again, Swayman was good. Stopped 24 of 26 shots, made some key saves for them when they needed it. And, they got to get a division rival. So, you get the 2 points against them in the shootout. Casey Middlestat scored a really nice goal in the shootout. Deked out the goalie and went to his backhand, put it in. I see you there, Tim. Hang tight for a second. So he's a guy that, back in the lineup, they need him to provide some spark, even if it's in the shootout, and score some goals. And again, some of the guys, I hopped on them, not having enough scoring, and for a little while, up until probably about a week ago or so, they were scoring pretty good clip. They were probably around 3.5 goals almost a game. That has since slacked back over the last week or so. But he's having a decent year, Middlestat. He was on pace for 18 goals before he got hurt, which is not bad for him, considering they need a little more, obviously. I mean, if they get anywhere between 20 and 25 would be good. But, considering what he did last year, he only got 11 goals or 14 goals, whatever it was. So they need him to step up, and they need other guys to step up too. So like I said, Pasternak's out. His return is unknown at this point. So they need all hands on deck. Tonight, the Bruins are currently playing as we speak. And, they're facing former coach Jim Montgomery, who they fired last year. And the Blues right now are under 500. So last year, when he took over, they were under 500. They made the playoffs. He drastically improved them. They are sorry, I lost my train of thought. Last year they made the playoffs. This year they're 9-11-7, and they're having a hard time scoring goals. They've scored 2 goals or less in the last 8 games, and one of the games they played recently, he pulled Jordan Binnington. He gave up 2 goals on 5 shots in the first, 9 or 10 minutes of the game. They yanked him out. So him and Montgomery had a little spat. They made up. And my notes before this game is that Binnington scares me because he beat the Bruins here in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup, and he beat USA in the tournament last year when Canada won the World Cup thing. So he's a guy that can be good. As of the time we came on, the Bruins were ahead 2-0. And Tim, as you mentioned, Geeky scored again. So that goal, I mean, I watched a replay of it after I realized, Steves goes into the corner to try to get the puck. 2 guys go after him, try to hit him. And I forget who had it go to them to make the pass out in front to Geeky, but he's by himself. Let's see. Arvidsson just had does that say slap? I can't see without my glasses. Clapper, there was a beauty of a snipe. So Tim, help me out here. What's the score now? Is it 3-0? Arvidsson, there's a guy again coming back. I dogged him. I dogged him because he had like no goals in the first, 10 games or whatever. 1 goal in 10. Like they definitely needed him to pick it up, and I would say he scored 5 goals over the next 10 games. He was starting to heat up a little bit. And Tim says the bigger the game, the bigger he plays. Bennington isn't that good this year. 3-1. All right, thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. So listen, they got What? 400 points for Arvidsson in his career. Okay, there's a milestone. Hopefully, they'll keep it rolling because I don't expect the Blues to roll over and die. That's for sure. They're desperate. They're desperate for W's. The way they've been going. But the Bruins are too. They can't afford a loss here. They have New Jersey and Winnipeg coming up next. Actually, I think they play Winnipeg at home next, and then they go on the road. I want to say it's a 3-game trip. It's Winnipeg, Calgary, and somebody else. I drew a blank. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. But, another West Coast trip. And Winnipeg, they've been pretty good over the last few years, so they're not going to be an easy game. And the Devils were in first place for a while, but they lost their best player, Jack Hughes, to injury. He's on injury reserve, so they've taken a little bit of a tumble. I think they've lost their last 3, but again, that won't be an easy out either. So, again, the condensed schedule, 3 games in 4 days, 4 games in 6 days, 6 games in 8, 9 days, 1 day off in between games. There's no time for your body to recuperate. There's no time to practice, without wearing everybody out. And again, like I mentioned, all the teams are dealing with it. So it's not just the Bruins, and that's because of the Olympics. And I was watching the pregame. And, the guys on the Andrew Raycroft, and Billy Jaffe, those guys that are on Nesson, they basically said, hey, it's not going to go away. The players bargained for it in the collective bargaining agreement. So this is going to happen every 4 years, whether we like it or not. And you just have to hope that you can build depth in your team. And I I'll give the Bruins credit. I didn't think by Thanksgiving that they'd be anywhere near where they are now. They're over 500, but I didn't see that coming at all based on the way they built their roster. How do I like Marco Sturm? Tim, good question. Well, I guess I'll answer it first, and then maybe you can chime in and let me know what you think. I think, given the circumstances, he's done a good job. He's gotten the most out of these guys that he can. And for a guy that's been dealing with a bunch of injuries, they're above water. They're above 500. They're playing hard, every game. So the Rangers game, there's a couple games where they look like they're just not into it, right? And again, I think it's the schedule. It's impossible. And even when there's not the Olympics and there's not the condensed schedule, it's impossible to go full throttle 82 games in a year and go 100% all out. It's just not doable. But they've done better than I thought. They're in the hunt for a playoff spot. Like I said, I predicted them at the beginning of the year to be 8th or 9th, or 9th or 10th, and like fall out of the playoffs by like 1 or 2 spots. They're going to be 9th or 10th, and not quite get there was my prediction. That's where they are now. I think they're in 10th or 9th. I don't know. I didn't get the exact number, but there's a lot of teams that are 500. Florida Panthers right now won't make the playoffs. So there's time for things to change as we go along, and teams get healthier. So I commend him. I didn't want him. I wanted the guy that was the assistant. I think he was the assistant coach for Washington. And it turns out that guy ended up getting himself in hot water and got himself suspended. So more egg on my face, typical, right? And actually, had I known he was available and didn't really think about it, but I really would have loved it if they got Joel Quenneville here. But because of his suspension too and his background, the Bruins don't want bad press. They had a little bit of that over the last couple of years. So there's no way that they were going to take a chance on him. And now he's coaching Anaheim, and they're in first place. So listen, I tip my cap to Marco Sturm. He's done a good job. Happy the team is listening to Sturm. He was at the game where he had coaching more information. Okay. Danny, hey Pete. There's not. Listen, there's going to be some Pete today, but not completely. Sorry. Happy we didn't go with your choice. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are happy they didn't go with my choice. I was just looking at, him being like the power play specialist guy and a guy that was on a team that finished in first place last year. Capitals were in first place in their division. Again, if I had a choice and could have picked Quenneville, I would have took him in a second and a half. Wouldn't even have took that long. Islanders game, they were down 2. I can't read. Oh, 2-0 after the first. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Tim. They don't. Listen. It's not the first time, and it's not going to be the last time that I've had to come on here with egg on my face and eat crow. And I don't mind doing it because I got to shoot straight the way I always do. I don't sugarcoat nothing when I talk. And, if they're doing good, I'll call them out that they're doing good. And I'll say this. I really wanted Alex Steves and Matej Blumel on the roster opening day. And the Bruins, in typical Bruin fashion, decided that they needed 12 muckers for 6 spots on the bottom 6. And so this guy's getting a chance with the injuries, and I hope they keep him here. I hope that when everybody's healthy and they have their regular roster back, that they don't send him back to Providence or stick him on the third line. Tim and I had a little back and forth over the last day or two about who should go where. I think we both agree Arvidsson should go. I know Tim wants Zaka to go. I don't see him going anywhere. But I think, I got to watch the clock here. We'll have more time to go into who's going where when the players start coming back. I do need to move along. But, kudos to the Bruins so far heading into December, being over 500. I'll give them credit for that. Let's move on to the Patriots. Last week they beat the Bengals and the Giants. They had 2 games, and we'll start with the Bengals. I'll give the takeaways, 3 takeaways. Me and Frank usually do for that particular game. 2 points, Steve's 2 points tonight. May for MVP. All right, that we'll get into that too. Everybody's on that bandwagon. I'll circle back to that, Tim. We'll talk about it. Hang tight. So they beat the Bengals 26-20. That game was an ugly game. It shouldn't have been as close as it was. And I was a little disappointed with the outcome or how they got the outcome. But, as I've been reminded by, Dave Bent and a number of others in our group that, it's a good win for them because they have to learn how to win ugly. And, the Patriots, when they had Brady, had some ugly wins. Every win wasn't, a blowout. So, it's a learning experience for them. Top 3 takeaways, the red zone offense sucks. The red zone offense has been struggling. And, lots of negativity. There's a lot of negative Neds calling up sports radio about the red zone offense. I'm not the only one. They got to learn how to put teams away like this. They had a couple opportunities to put more points on the board and not let them stay within breathing distance. And I hope that Vrabel, and those guys learn that, hey, look, you got to keep your foot on the gas. And the last takeaway is the defense struggled against the run without Milton Williams, and that's going to be a continuation as long as he's out. So they had to put him on IR with a high ankle sprain. He's out for 4 weeks. They don't, they don't have and Kyrus Tonga, he was out too, I think against the Giants. We'll get to that in a minute too. But, this particular game, they had multiple opportunities. They caught a break too. The Patriots caught a break that the Bengals did not start Joe Burrow coming back from toe surgery, and that they were without Jamar Chase, who got suspended for spitting on somebody. Complete dope. Don't know what he was thinking, but he cost himself some bucks, and the Patriots benefited from that because as old as Joe Flacco is, man, he can still sling it, and the Patriots were lucky that he wasn't his good Flacco self. He struggled a little bit at times. He put points on the board, but he struggled a little bit at times, which is good for the Patriots. So listen, bad pick six by Drake May. They fell behind 10-0, and I was like, oh crap, here we go. They're gonna get croaked. But he made up for it on the next drive. They drove down, got a touchdown. So Drake May making big plays. The 20+ yard throws he's making. 28-yard touchdown to Hunter Henry. I want to say he's got the best passer rating for the 20-yard completions, which is incredible for a second-year guy. He's just dropping dimes, and it's good to see. But that pick six, man, I was like, oh, here we go, dude. What are you doing? But they make up for it. They get the touchdown on the next drive, and then since he gets the ball back, they return the favor. Joe Flacco throws the pick six to Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones, man, kudos to that guy. He's been really good, and for him being a little undersized as a slot corner or whatever he is, he makes plays. He's fast, and he's always in the right place at the right time for the most part. I think he's been a great pickup for them. Not to mention the in the return game, which we'll get to when we talk about the Giants. But really good play for him to pick that off and run it back. The Patriots a little back and forth. They stop Cincy on the next drive. They go down. They go up 17-10. But, getting near the end of the half, the Patriots defense gave up big plays. There's 33 seconds left. You're up 17-10. All of a sudden, Cincy broke a run for 21 yards, and then Flacco hit Higgins for a 16-yard completion. And so they get in field goal range, and a guy kicks a 63-yard field goal to make it 17-13. And this is where the oh crap, here we go starts. But and here's where the Patriots, they get the ball down at fourth and goal at the 1, and they benefit from a pass interference call on Diggs, and they go for it again. Terrell Jennings gets stopped, and I don't get it. I don't get why you don't go for it, take the points there, especially on the road. Next drive, they get stopped again. Stevenson stopped twice. So you got 7 tries or 8 tries to get in the end zone. After 6 tries, how about kick the stupid field goal, guys? Everybody can't be Dan Campbell. You don't want to be him. Trust me. But they're all doing it. I watched a Washington-Miami game a few weeks ago. There was a lot of back and forth in that game. Both teams had the ball down near the goal line, within like the 5-yard line. They both went for it on fourth down. They would not kick the field goal to either win the game or force overtime. I don't get it. I mean, I guess when you have nothing to play for, it's fine. But if you want to build momentum, you got to put points on the board. And in a game like this for the Patriots against Cincinnati, a team that's like hanging in there with them, you want to put as much distance as you can. And Bill Belichick did this a few years ago when I screamed at my TV. It's like, dude, you're on the road. The points are not going to be easy to come by. Kick the effing field goal and stop screwing around. We're still rebuilding here, in my opinion. And I know everybody's all giddy about the 11 wins already and all this stuff. But listen, you got to fight for these wins. They're not easy, period. We don't have the luxury of just, going forward on fourth down all the time. We're not that good yet. I mean, it's a complete 180 from last year and the year before, but you still got to use your head. You know what I mean? It's like, McFly, like, what are you doing? I'm aggravated with that. I'm wicked aggravated with that. I really hope that there's a time and a place to do that stuff. And sometimes it works. And so, when it works, they look like a genius. But when it doesn't work in a game like this, in a game when you're up, 17-0 or 20-0 or whatever, and you want to try and go for it on fourth down, pin the other team in the own end, fine. But when it's a close game like this and it's 17-13 or whatever, you can't be messing around. You don't want to hurt yourself and take 2 steps backwards. So, and even near the end, it's 26-20, and Flacco's bringing them back. They get down to the Patriots 26, and I give the defense a ton of credit because they stopped them. They stopped them on third and fourth down. Some huge defensive stops by the secondary. And so, real good to get out of Cincinnati with a W. And they're not going anywhere. Their coach is probably going to get fired. If he doesn't get fired, I'd be shocked. Their defense is terrible. Except for against the Patriots, it wasn't completely terrible. But the way that they built that team to have all offense and no defense, then they're never going to go anywhere until they fix that. And you got to capitalize against teams like that. You got to bury them. Calm down. The Pats are doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing, except for when they don't kick field goals when they're supposed to. Danny, sorry, I disagree. You got to put the points on the board. You gotta. You can't cost yourself and be stupid. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You tried 6 times, 7 times to get the ball in the end zone. It didn't work. You don't go for the 8th time. You put the points on the board and get out of Dodge. So sorry about that. I don't need to discuss the Red Sox. I am going to discuss the Red Sox because they had something happen last week, so they're part of this. Again, it won't be a lot of time, but we're going to cover everybody. That's what we do here. I'm going to move along to the Giants game. That game, awesome game, Monday Night Football. First Monday Night Football game here in Foxborough since 2022. And, the Patriots, took it to them, 33-15 win. Great to see. Listen, I'll give the takeaways first, like we usually do. I just say these guys on both sides came to play. The smash mouth football, the hard hits, it was awesome. I loved every minute of it. The injured or depleted offensive line played well. They played way better than I thought they would, especially for Darian Lowe, who I've been dogging on here since last year because he was a complete turnstile last year. So, they had, obviously no Will Campbell, no Jared Wilson, and Garrett Bradbury was a game-time decision with an illness, and he ended up playing. So Ben Brown and Vidarian Lowe, good job. Those guys filling in. And the number 3 takeaway is the defense smashed the Giants every chance they had. I mean, they were the aggressors in the game, and I loved it. And I'm glad that they did. They took it to them. Completely different than any of the other games that we've seen them play, especially on the opening drives for the other team. Just giving them nothing. Excuse me. So, you know, they were physical, and the Giants were physical too. Again, I'm not going to take anything away from them from that standpoint. They played hard. They're playing for jobs. So, on paper, if you were to look at that game and be like, "Oh, geez, this is going to be a crap bowl. Patriots are going to steamroll them. The Giants suck." But just the way that they played made it a little more entertaining than it normally would be. And so I give both teams credit for that. Again, the Patriots did struggle a little bit against the run. They gave up over 100 yards again for the second game in a row. But they basically held Jackson Dart in check. And the receivers, I forget the guy's name. I should have made mention of it, but the guy dropped out a number of balls that could have bailed him out. And, he's probably like third on their depth chart, and he's like the number 1 receiver because Malik Nabers is out for the year with an injury. And, Cam Scatterbo, the running back, he got hurt a few weeks ago, so he's out for the year too. When those guys get back next year, they're gonna be singing a different tune if they can keep those guys healthy. But Jackson Dart, he can run, but the passing, he's not there yet. And they got work to do, obviously. Patriots just, they come out, they score. Marcus Jones, 94-yard punt return. Electric. He's a Swiss Army knife. Fantastic to have him. I don't want to do the comparison thing yet because it's wicked early in his career, but he's like Dante Hall from Kansas City and kid from the Bears. His name is escaping me right now, but those two guys are like the best punt returners, among the best punt returners in history of the game. Devin Hester, like he's getting himself into that range of class with these returns. So good for him. And I'll say this too. The special teams has been a complete 180 from last year as well. And I want to say even early in the year, there was some games where they were taking some stupid penalties, but they've cleaned a lot of that up. The special teams has gotten better as the season's gone along. They've really done a good job. Whoever the coach is, and I don't have his name in front of me right now, but, they're definitely 180% better than they were last year. Way, way better. And Drake May, 77% completion, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he got Offensive Player of the Week. And so, Tim, he's the favorite right now to win the MVP. I saw last night, show I watched, sports show, they had him as the leader at minus 135 in betting terms. And they had Matthew Stafford was second at like plus 235 or some stupid number. And my opinion right now is if I had to pick between him and Stafford, I would probably pick Stafford only because his numbers, his touchdown, he's got like, I don't know, 27 touchdowns and like 2 picks. And, almost as many yards as Drake May, or if he's pretty close if he's not, above him. And the Rams, despite their loss to Carolina, I would right now pick them as the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But that's going to be Drake May keeps this up. That's going to be a head-to-head race. And, kudos all around to the Patriots and Drake May and Josh McDaniels and all the offensive guys. I mean, look, Kyle Williams catches a long pass from Drake May out of nowhere. And so the one thing I like, and I've always liked it, is that they have multiple guys as guys that they can use to get open. It's not one guy. It's not feed one guy 12, 15 targets and everybody else is getting one or two. And they got guys that with speed. Kyle Williams and Butte, they're fast. And it's been a long time since the Patriots have had guys like this. Excuse me. And so I think that for somebody like Butte, last year, the coaching last year, and it's for everybody, not just him, Vidarian Lowe, he just looked lost half the time he was out there. He has have guys go by him and look like this, and he would just look like an orange pylon. Not the case this year. And so it's the difference between having experienced guys like Callahan. His first name is escaping me right now. No, Doug Marrone. Sorry, not Callahan. Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach. Huge difference. Having Josh McDaniels back here, and after the early season struggles they had the first game or two, working with Drake May and making this offense much better than it's been. I mean, last year the Patriots averaged 14 points a game. They've almost doubled it. They're averaging 26.5 points a game. That's fantastic. Drake May is definitely going to be in the MVP conversation all year long. I would not dismiss that at all. Obviously, the bigger prize is the Super Bowl and so on and so forth. But the other thing too is they got to keep him healthy. And I want to talk about the hit that Christian Ellis laid on Jackson Dart. Everybody going cuckoo. It was a legal hit. The rules analyst during the broadcast guy that they have, former official, said it was a legal hit. He's got to get out of bounds. All the quarterbacks got to get out of bounds. Drake May did this in a game earlier in the year, got smashed pretty much the same way Jackson Dart did. These guys are taking risks, and they're not going to survive. As soon as he got hit like that, I immediately thought of Drew Bledsoe when Mo Lewis hit him. That was my first thought. I'm like, he got smashed. These guys are not going to last. And listen, I'm all for protecting the players and I'm all for taking out the headshots and all that. But if you're going to be stupid and run like that, it's football. It's not pickleball. It's not tiddlywinks. It's not tennis. Like, listen, you got to get out there. It's not it's not one of these wuss sports. It's a contact sport. You're going to get hit. And, listen, I give Doc credit. He didn't cry about it. He said, hey, it's a contact sport. We're playing football. Is what it is. He took the hit well, but because it was our guy doing it to them, I loved it. I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans loved it, right? If that was Drake May if it was the reverse, we'd be going cuckoo. But again, we'd be yelling at our TV for Drake to either slide or get out of bounds, dude. What are you doing? You're putting yourself at risk. Don't do that. So, I like the physicality. the whole game. It was good, and they took it to the Giants and didn't let them get close. So good win for them. The Patriots are that's a good one, Dave. Took the N off the helmet. It's a good one for them. They're in first place currently in the AFC, not just the AFC East, but in the conference at 11-2. Denver's 10-2. They're playing the Raiders this week. They should beat them. And I don't remember exactly why Denver has the tiebreaker, but they do. So if Denver wins, they'll be in first place, and the Patriots will be second. So it's imperative for the Patriots to figure out a way how to get the bye and skip having to go to Denver later on. They have not fared well there, and I didn't realize that the Patriots in the playoffs, even with Brady and Belichick, were 0-3 in Denver. So they don't play well there. It doesn't bode well for them. So I don't want to see that. So look, the Patriots are on their bye week. Hopefully they'll get some players back, get some rest. And, they have Buffalo coming the following week here. And that'll be a good matchup, and we'll look forward to it. All right, watching the time now. Before I overrun, we have to talk about the Celtics, so let's do that. The Celtics get themselves back on track. They had a big week last week, in my opinion. They beat some top teams, and they didn't. Let's see, their week didn't start good last week. They had an ugly loss to the Brooklyn Nets at home, no less, and the Nets are like one of the worst teams in the league. So, inexcusable to lose to a team like that. The only bright spot was Neemias Queta, 16 points, 12 rebounds. And Jaylen Brown basically called the boys out after the loss. And, sometimes when they do that, it's not well received. In this particular case, I think they did receive the message heard. I think it worked, based on how they played in the next bunch of games. And again, they have an 82 game season. You're not going to go full throttle 100% every game, all game long. It's impossible. As much as we want it to happen that way and kill these teams they should beat. It's definitely more important to beat the better teams. It's no good if you beat all the quote unquote tomato cans and then lose to all the good teams, because you're not proving yourself and you're not getting better overall. So after that game, they beat Orlando. They caught a break in that game. Paulo Banchero was out with an injury or illness, and he's one of their better players and kills the Celtics. So they caught a break there. Jaylen Brown, 35 points. Anthony Simons, 23. Josh Minot off the bench, 16.7 rebounds. I like him a lot. I know Frank likes him too. He can play. And that's huge, getting those kind of contributions from a guy like that. But they gave up 18 offensive rebounds, which is a big bugaboo. We've been talking about them not being able to control the rebounds and not having enough big guys. So I don't know if they can add anybody at the trade deadline. And I'm hoping that Frank can shed a little light to see who might be available. Next time Frank's on, we'll ask him if he knows of anybody the Celtics might be able to grab that's good defensive rebounder to not allow these offensive rebounds that's cheap, because they're not going to spend $20 million on a guy and bring him in here. So we'll have to figure that out. But, they beat Orlando. Next game, they beat Detroit, who was the hottest team in the league. They had won 12 in a row, and they beat them. They actually went to Detroit and beat them 117-114. Jaylen Brown, again, 33 points, leading the way. Derek White had 27 points. He was 6 of 11 from 3 which is huge considering the off year he's been having. As a team, they shot 20 of 43 for 46%. That's more like it. You know, been saying it now for 3 years. You know, when they all go cold, it's bad for them. So, you know, nice to see them all shooting good and contributing against a good team. And then they beat the Knicks the other night, 123-117. Jaylen Brown, 42 points. He was huge. 16 of 24 shooting. You know, he carried the load. And, you know, for all the questions about whether he could be the number one, with Tatum here, he's obviously 1B. You know, Tatum's 1A, he's 1B, whatever, second. But without him, he's really done a good job. And you know what? He called the guys out and he backed it up. Actually, and I apologize. Let me back up a half a second. After the Detroit game, they beat Cleveland 117-115, and they were the Eastern Conference. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So, no, they weren't. But they were the top team. They were the number one seed, I think, in the East last year. So that's a good team over there. We beat them 117-115. Peyton Pritchard, 42 points, career high, 15 of 22 shooting. Jaylen Brown, triple-double, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. And Jordan Walsh. Now, I noticed a few games ago that Jordan Walsh has been starting, and Joe Mazzulla's gotten a lot out of him. 14 points, 11 rebounds, probably his best game as a Celtic in my opinion. And Simon's off the bench, 18 points. Again, big contributions from these guys. Balance out the scoring and so forth. You know, and now again back to the Knicks game. You know, Brown again, 42 points. Listen, he's done a good job. For all the talk that we've had over the years about, you know, whether they should trade him or will they be able to keep two, you know, mega contracts or supermax contracts, whatever. And now you don't have Tatum, and he's not a rah-rah kind of guy, I don't think. You know, he's a smart, educated guy. And I think he's done a good job. And so you have to tip your cap to him. He's done the job as the number one guy. You know, is it perfect? No. And none of them are. You know, I still see some bad passing going on sometimes. They're turning the ball over when they shouldn't. He's part of that, but it's not as bad or as egregious as it was earlier in the year. I think they've cleaned a lot of that stuff up. And listen, Jordan Walsh on defense was hustling his ass off against the Knicks. He was huge in that game. He brings it. And I like that. I think that, you know, you look at the score and be like, well, they gave up 117 points and they gave up 115 points. Where's the defense? Listen, other teams can score. You just have to outscore them. It doesn't mean he wasn't hustling and getting rebounds or diving for balls and forcing jump balls and, you know, making steals and whatnot. He did damn good. He's been good. And God, I can't think of his name. Gonzalez, the rookie that the Celtics drafted this year. Again, another guy. Pretty damn good defensively. He made some stops. He's aggressive. You know, in limited minutes too. He's not going to play 25 minutes a game, but he can give you, I don't know, 8, 12, 14 minutes a game. Excuse me, and give some good defense, hustle. I mean, that's a key, is that they're hustling these guys. So the Celtics 12-9 overall after an 0-3 start. So they're 12-6 in their last 18 games. And they've put themselves into third position in the East in their division. So listen, hopefully they can keep it going. You know, and I'll give Joe Mazzulla some credit too, because they have dialed back the threes a little bit. You know, after that Utah game where they jacked up 51 threes, it's been 33, 34, 43, 38. They have dialed it back by probably about 10 per game overall on average. So, and they have to, because they weren't making them. Derek White still has some nights where he's not making them. Peyton Pritchard still has a couple nights here where they're not making them. You know, they have to use other ways to score, and they've been driving to the basket a lot, which is good. You know, do it. Do something different, because we're sick of the threes anyway. All right, let me watch the time here. I do want to touch on the Red Sox briefly. They actually made a trade last week. They traded with St. Louis Cardinals. Our old friend Hein Bloom is the GM over there now. And the Red Sox traded for Sonny Gray, starting pitcher Sonny Gray, for Brandon Clark and Richard Fitz. And they got $20 million. So part of Gray's salary, he had a $41 million salary, and the Cardinals are sending $20 million of it. They're eating $20 million of it. So the Red Sox basically paying him $21 million for this year. And he has a buyout for a club option for next year for $30 million for 2027. He's 36 years old. Last year he had 32 starts, 180 innings, 14-8 record, 4.28 ERA, a little high, and 201 strikeouts. So a durable guy. I think the last 3 years he's made all his starts. His ERA was better in the last 2 years. And, he's a definite improvement over Walker Buehler, I would say. And he was on the Yankees for a couple of years or whatever, and made some comments about, not liking the Yankees, didn't want to go to New York, happy to be here, and finally gets a chance to enjoy the rivalry from the other side. Listen, I think it's a good move by Breslow. I'll give him credit. If and only if Sonny Gray is the number 3 starter, not number 2. And so after listening to his comments before this trade and at the winter meetings a few weeks ago, he said we need to have a number 2 starter that started a playoff game, which Sonny Gray did last year for them, started a playoff game. That's not enough in this AL East. He can be the number 3. Walker Buehler was third or fourth, making $21 million. You're paying this guy $21 million. He's number 3, and go find a way to get a true number 2 guy to slot in behind Crochet. And if you do that, you get a number 2, legit number 2, and you got Crochet, a legit number 2, Sonny Gray number 3, and Bayo number 4. I'd be thrilled with that. But if they use him as this Gray as the number 2, and then Bayo as number 3, and then piecemeal the last 2 spots again, and actually, excuse me, I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Because last year they signed Patrick Sandoval, and he's going to be in the mix. He's probably going to be 4th, if I had to guess. Now, if you were smart, you would use him as the number 5 guy, right? Coming off injury, and use Tanner Houck if and when he becomes available, and Cutter Crawford, and mix those guys instead of forcing Connolly Early and Peyton Tolley to be in the number 5 spot. Let them, let them develop in Pawtucket. Let them stay down there. I apologize. Apparently, my voice has said, "Hey, Negative Ned, time for you to stop talking." So listen, I just want them to be better. They have to sign a bat too. They need a 30 to 40 home run guy. That's not a secret either. And at this point, I would let Bregman go. I don't want to sign him for 5 or 6 years and 30 to 35 million a year. Given that the last 2 years he's missed time, like significant 4 or 5 weeks of time. And not that he was horrible, They did the right thing by bringing him in. The way they did it was all screwed up. We're not going to rehash that. But if I have to choose now between Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso, give me Pete Alonso. Give me a guy that's going to hit me 35, 40 home runs and be a true cleanup hitter in the middle of the lineup. That's what they're missing. They have had, they had freaking, gosh, what they had Yoshida as the cleanup hitter near the end of the year because he was actually getting hits. He was hitting like 330. But that's not what you want for your cleanup hitter is a singles guy and a double guy. You don't want that again, or him and Roman Anthony. Like, listen, I think already, if it were up to me, Duran, and a lot of people say this already, Duran will be traded for a pitcher, right? They don't need 4 outfielders. You put Roman Anthony at the top of the order. He's got the best eye on the team as far as, hitting and taking walks. He doesn't have the speed Duran does, but he doesn't need it. He just needs to get on. And he can do that. He can hit 300 and have a 400 on base percentage. That's good. He can hit 290. That's good enough. And then, if you do the lineup correctly and you get Pete Alonso, and then you can put, maybe Trevor Story's hitting third, and you get somebody else hitting second, and then you have Pete Alonso is fourth, and then you have Willie Abreu fifth. He's got some pop. He's got sneaky pop in his bat. I like him a lot, and he's a better outfielder than Duran. And I like Duran. I don't want to trade him for just a bag of balls. They have to get what he's worth in the trade, hopefully. And I read that they're overvaluing him, which is stupid. You better do the right thing. Trade him while you can, while he's valuable. And get a pitcher in return. And your outfield will be Roman Anthony in left, Rafael Cedon in center, and Abreu in right field. And I know he was up for a Gold Glove, and I don't know if he got it or not. I'll have to circle back and see if he did. And if he did, missing the amount of time he missed, that just goes to show you how good he is. And he's young. So, my preference is for them to do what I said and get a bat and get another pitcher. Anyway, all right, enough of that. There's your Red Sox update. They do have the winter meetings coming up from the 7th to the 10th, starting on Sunday, I believe. Hopefully we'll get some more good news, and we'll get an early Christmas present from Craig Breslow, and we'll see what happens. But now let's move on. Unfortunately, we did not have any poll questions last week, so we'll skip that and move on to the predictions. I did have some predictions last week. Let me find them. Where did they go? Where did you go? There they are. All right. Well, let's see. I said the Patriots would sack Joe Burrow 4 times. It's kind of hard to sack him when he doesn't play. So nothing doing there. I said the Patriots would score more than 40 points for the second time this season. Cincinnati must have heard all the criticism going around everywhere, all over, sports talk, TV, radio, and they came to play. I said the Bruins would drop from 2nd to 6th place, and they did drop, but they're in 5th place, not 6th. So they didn't drop as far as I thought they would. And I said the Celtics would be 3-0, and that they would beat Brooklyn, Orlando, and Detroit and move up to 3rd place in the division. Wrong. They did not beat Brooklyn, even though they did move up to 3rd in the division. It's wrong because I thought it was going to be those 3 teams that it would take for them to get there. So 0 for 4 this week. Let's see if I can right the ship this week coming up. I say this coming week, Alex Steves gets his first hat trick as a Bruin. I would actually like to see that and help prove me right that he belongs here and not Don Sweeney in the front office thinking he should go back to Providence. I mean, he was a 36 goal scorer last year. He doesn't have to prove anything else down there, in my opinion. Bruins lose to New Jersey and Winnipeg on the upcoming week. Winnipeg has not been kind to the Bruins lately, and I'll go out even on a further limb and say that Swayman gets pulled in the Winnipeg game. I don't know what it is. When they play these games where they give up 5, 6, 7 goals like they did last year, for some reason, Swayman's the one that's getting the brunt of it. I don't know what, and for all the games that he's played, that they've played well in front of him, and he stood on his head. I don't understand this. I have yet to figure this out, but I hope they rectify it or they will not make the playoffs for sure doing that. All right. I'll say Jordan Walsh gets 20 points in one of the games for the Celtics next week. He's up and coming, I think. I really like him a lot. And the last one I have is the Celtics will beat the Lakers tomorrow, and then the next game they'll lose to Toronto. That's what I think. I know they're playing the Washington Wizards right now as we speak. They should beat them even without Jaylen Brown's not playing. He's out with an illness. But they should still beat them. I think they are 3-17 or some whatever. They're 3 and something. They're terrible. I think they're last in the conference. So again, same thing as I said about Brooklyn, and they lost. So don't be stupid. Get this W. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, that's it. That's the show. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support. Thanks for commentary. Danny and Tim, thank you. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. We'll be back next week. Have a good weekend, and I will see you later.